Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Bruce Wolf and Sean Thompson in for Dan and Amy. Our top story, consent condom requires 4 hands to open, making powerful statement about consent. All I know is it takes 2 hands to handle a Whopper. But seriously, we are joined, Sean. We got to get serious.
Tough leading.
It's no longer the man show right now because there's
also
a link. Yes,
an Elmhurst cigar house customer at one time.
Really?
Yes,
you
she
allow
is.
women? You allow the distaff side
Only
inside?
the good ones.
Hey, look, Augusta National, the Masters is going on right now, had a women's golf tournament on Saturday. Augusta National had a women's golf tournament.
Even the husbands didn't watch.
So Kristen McQueary, a.k.a. State House Chick, that's her Twitter handle, Chicago Tribune writer, joins us right now. Good morning, Kristen. Thanks for coming on.
Hello, boys. How are you?
Hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
So, Kristen, the other day, Governor Pritzker trotted out his easel and his message board and wanted to show everybody that his progressive income tax for the state, 97% of the Illinois taxpayers will benefit from this. And of course, it reminded me of when Michael Jordan said he was 99.9% sure that he was retired, and he came back. So the higher the number, the less I'm sure of the number. What say you to this?
I mean, the biggest issue with futzing with the Constitution is that we will be allowing Springfield to mess with these numbers whenever they want. So, yes, the initial numbers that Pritzker put out, which, by the way, almost every nonpartisan economic group has said don't add up, most of Illinoisans will not see a tax increase. That doesn't mean they're going to see their taxes drop. They're just not going to see them go up, except for people making $250,000 or more. The bigger issue is, why in the world would voters give more authority to Springfield to spend and change these tax rates and tinker with them from now into perpetuity, given the financial mismanagement that Springfield has already shown that they're capable of? That's the biggest question.
I think it's because a lot of the people in Illinois are pretty much benefactors of the welfare state it's become. And there are so many things I want to ask you.
Or even beneficiaries.
Whatever.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I'm the benefactor. There are so many things I want to ask you. Really, I don't know if I should go with the Kim Fox, if I should go with the
she's the state
DHS bigger budget, or if I should go with the fact, am I the only one who thinks Lori Lightfoot looks like Peter Lorre? I can't figure it out, but I'm really upset about the TIF agreement and the skullduggery that goes on in these agreements for developers.
That was a huge missed opportunity for Lori Lightfoot, the incoming mayor, the progressive, the person who's going to revive the South and West Sides. She could have slowed it down. She could have stopped it. That is a huge tax giveaway, the biggest TIF now development in Lincoln Yards. And remember, why do you think developers want TIFs so badly? There are other economic tools they could seek out. They want TIFs because it freezes their property taxes for 23 years. And whatever they owe on top of that, as their value of their property grows, they do have to pay, but that money gets invested into their own development. So they increase the value of their own development using what should have been tax dollars, and their property taxes are frozen.
So
there's no way that those should have been approved.
So she's still mayor-elect Lightfoot, right? So, or is she the mayor? Is she the mayor right now?
In Chicago, it's all the same.
I'm sorry. I know Rahm Emanuel had his last city council meeting yesterday, but I mean, right off the bat, she's got her own parking meter deal before she even says I do. Yesterday, she was down in Springfield, and I read the Tribune story on it so that I didn't have to actually watch her down in Springfield. But it sounded like so much boilerplate that she was talking about. So here's the reformer that we brought in, or you did, because I haven't lived in the city since 1958. But it sounds like the same old, same old. It's like Animal Farm. Once again, the pigs join the farmers and nothing ever changes. Is this a harbinger of badness?
Well, I mean, being a conservative-leaning person, being a fiscal conservative in this city and state, she was never going to represent the sort of policy choices that you or I would want. So her going to Springfield, let her enjoy a little rock star status. She does, in fact, support a graduated income tax. She's counting on Springfield sending her some revenue through legalized recreational marijuana and such. So she should be in Springfield a lot, actually, because Rahm did not go down there except for one time to preach about pensions, and then he didn't do anything after that. I think the reason that Lori Lightfoot was popular and the reason she still gets to wear the reform credential for now is that she is coming in as a federal prosecutor. And I think once she is sworn in, I'm counting on her. She has said she will do some things to remove aldermanic privilege, to sort of just get rid of the nonsense of you have to kiss the ring of the alderman in order to get an awning above your business in the ward. So, so that part of her still remains to be seen.
And to that extent, she's good. And I know that your colleague John Cass, a friend of ours, is ecstatic over this because he's all about the corruption. And I mean, and I understand that. I mean, Ed Burke gets reelected even though the feds have the goods on him because he wanted to play hardball, and that's just the Chicago way. So to that extent, it's good. But and of course, if she turns on, she says she's going to look into what Kim Foxx did. But if she winds up caving on that, then we know that, it didn't matter who got elected. It may as well have been Preckwinkle then, right?
I think so. I mean, she has said by executive order, and I'm sure she'll be challenged a little bit, that she is going to try to remove aldermanic privilege. That would be a huge step forward for Chicago, because that is something that has just been expanded and expanded. I mean, that's why Lincoln Yards got as far as it got. Even though there's very few people who actually support the project, the aldermen supported it and pushed it and coddled it and changed it. And because he is in favor of it, that's why it got as far as it got.
But the fact that she just did what she shouldn't have done and accepted it, doesn't it just prove that she's hot air from a very short platform? That is really, I don't think they're aware, Kristen, of what a national joke we are. We're, like Jazz Shaw will write in his paper and his blog, after all, it's Chicago. Don't you think the tolerance of the Illinoisan, the Chicagoan in particular, that reelects that drunken bum wannabe mobster like Ed Burke, and he says yesterday, well, it's always nice when you see a politician leave willingly, meaning the only way they only leave is when they're dragged out by the authorities. Isn't it just too far gone to ever correct?
I mean, I definitely feel that hopelessness a lot, because the tolerance of voters in Illinois is just indescribable. We're so numb to just terrible management of state government and city government. These are things that would never happen in other states. You would not have a Speaker of the House who also had a side gig doing property tax appeals work that has been shown to be harmful to minority communities and basically a corrupt system. We are numb to all of this. I hope that the fact that Lori Lightfoot, she really came from behind in that race. She didn't have the money. She didn't have the machine. She didn't have the organization. And she won resoundingly everywhere. I do hope that is a sense that we're a little bit more woke as a city than we were before Burke was arrested.
Well, it's nice. It actually is nice to have an African American, openly gay. We cover all the bases right there. So we've made up for a lot of years of Irish guys.
I want a masochist
but
next.
Here's the thing. So I guess since we're inured to all this, it's just foolishness for us to discuss the fact that whatever Pritzker's doing, he's not going to raise the money that is needed to cover all the pension and health benefit costs of all the state workers. And the numbers don't really add up, do they?
There's no way to catch up with how far behind we are without taxing Illinoisans to a point where the only people left will be J.B. Pritzker and his wife. I mean, the numbers just don't add up. They will once again do what they've done in the past, like float a pension bond where they're basically paying off one credit card with another credit card, because these payments, they do have to make these payments. The problem is the unfunded liability keeps growing even when we are making the payments.
You know what's going to happen, Kristen? It's going to be they're all banking on Bernie Sanders becoming the president and the bailout. It's going to be the bailout of the blue states. You watch, and then there'll be the secession by the red states. I mean, that's what this is, just kicking the can down the road till you get the bailout, because they're always just they're just playing with themselves, so to speak, on this, right?
Careful.
Be careful.
Here, let me.
Ooh, this is a family show.
I'm sorry.
Let me
Hit
ask
the
a
delay.
question. Let me once again save the show. So last week, there was a state senator. His name is irrelevant, and he proposed a doubling of the gas tax. My head was I was so outraged that I actually didn't follow up. I knew it passed. Is it a law now? Do you know where that is, where they're doubling the gas tax?
Well, they are correct in that the federal government has not raised the sales tax on gasoline since like the mid to early 90s. But the state has, and then the city has, and lots of municipalities have their own separate fund, little add-on to the sales tax. So the reason we have among the highest gas prices when gas prices jump in the summer is not because of the price of oil. It's because of all of the taxes that we attach to every gallon of gas. So, I mean, that is a tax that if you have to consider some tax to be popular among lawmakers, it sort of is because it's at least user-based. But that sort of idea has been introduced over and over again, and it rarely goes anywhere. The worry is that they are talking about a huge capital bill again, even though we just had one in 2010 that was $31 billion. And, of course, we haven't paid off all the bills that were spent for infrastructure then. And they will try to attach a gas tax to all those little ribbon-cutting projects that lawmakers like.
Kristen, thanks so much for joining us. I want to apologize for some of my language. I was slouching towards Gomorrah there, and the spirit of Robert Bork will not be happy with me. But, sometimes I get exercised over these things. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Kristen McQueary, Twitter handle Statehouse Chick. And
one of my favorite customers.
She writes for the Chicago Tribune. Bruce Wolf and Sean Thompson in for Dan and Amy on AM 560 The Answer.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer.